Hello and welcome back to Geek Warning, the cycling tech-focused podcast from Escape Collective. I'm Dave Rome, and the rest of the tech crew at Escape are still a little weary-eyed coming from some team-wide time off. With that, our regular scheduling of Geek Warning will return next week. Instead, this week, we have a special episode with a special guest. A few days ago, Calvin Jones announced his retirement. For the past 28 years, Calvin has been the face of Park Tool and was instrumental in creating the highly popular and successful Park Tool maintenance resources, first in writing and in the last 15 years on YouTube. Our chat sure is varied and covers a lot of ground, but I suspect many will find it a wholesome listen from a familiar voice. As a reminder to those on our free feed, you may hear adverts. If you don't like ads, and you also want access to everything Escape does, including all the member-only content, then please become a member at escapecollective.com/join. All right, on with the show. Calvin Jones, welcome to Geek Warning.
Great to be here. Great to be on one of the geeks.
Lifelong, and well deserved. But yeah, I guess big news from you. Congratulations on the retirement. So when does the apron officially get hung up?
Well, it never gets hung up, does it?
No.
It's always going to stay in some regard. I'll be out of the office here, service calls, emails, all that kind of stuff, product meetings, February 28th. So lucky it's not a leap year. I would have an extra day, but the 28th is it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So quite a few weeks to wrap things up then.
Yep. A long exit ramp, as we say.
Yeah, absolutely. I would hope that anyone listening to this podcast would know exactly who you are, but for those that don't, I mean, I'm gonna describe you as the best known bicycle mechanic in the world. I don't know if that's a title you dispute or you've come to accept in recent years, but yeah, for me, Park Tool YouTube, I think, really did it in recent years. You're now at 916,000 subscribers, nearly 1,000 videos. That's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I know that the video department's hungry. They're chasing after the new plaque. They want the plaque. You get that little button at a million and
million. So near.
But I hope we're doing some good and helping some people, and maybe saving some bikes, right? That's not as important as saving people. So maybe we've maybe people have learned something. That's kind of the hope that we have.
Yeah, I bet they have. So yeah, I mean, I would say you've been the public face of Park Tool for, as long as I can remember. But how many years have you been with the Blue Tool company?
Well, this 29 years ago, ties right in with my son, who's 29.
Wow.
So this in January, I arrived in a snow and blowy winter and cold and freezing, and I got up here and this is where I'm going to establish my home. What the heck have I done?
Right.
But spring does come. If you arrive here in the winter, you think spring's never going to come. It seems dark, northern latitude, but it does.
Yeah. So Minnesota is, I guess, where you're based now. But where were you coming from prior to that?
Colorado. Yeah, Colorado Springs.
Right.
Yeah, out of the Barnett Bicycle Institute. Down there also the race stuff, work in Olympic Training Center. And then as a race mechanic, you're on the road. You don't really live anywhere other than a van. That was the era of the extended body vans. So really horrible mileage and lots of bikes on top.
Talk to me a bit about the Barnett Institute, because I think some of our listeners may not be aware of what that.
The Barnett, interesting place. It's a professional training, and I was the lead instructor. John Barnett started the institute, so he hired me. I did the instruction. He went and did a lot of the writing. We didn't have the full manual that they ended with, so he was in the process of writing that. And writing's very difficult, as they say. Who was the author? Writing's easy. You just sit down at the typewriter and open up a vein. So even for nonfiction, it feels like that. Writing's I find very, very hard. So a lot of teaching there, which looking back in your life, it's kind of easy to see where spaghetti stuck to the wall or where the creek kind of flowed. And I had to be up in front of people, all day long, looking them in the eye and answering their questions. And then also seeing the blank looks in their face, which it's a great advantage when you're in person.
Yeah.
Or they'd ask a question that's like now to pick a mechanic or to hire a mechanic. You want a person that asks good questions. Maybe doesn't have the answer, but they're asking questions that point toward the answer. And it was fun to see those kind of people. But anyway, I think that was a very useful thing in developing the YouTube content that we have. I try and imagine when we're writing scripts and doing these things of thinking of those people, which is one thing that drives me crazy about YouTube is I can't see you, right? Are you awake? Are you staring? Are you looking at the bird out the window? Or if maybe the bird out the window is more interesting than what we're telling you. Anyway, that in-person feedback at Barnett's was good. So, developing and changing how to teach, was a big part of that.
Yeah, I mean, you've certainly developed a very obvious skill set over the years. I mean, it's undeniable that you're great at what you do. But yeah, I mean that in-person stuff. Am I right in thinking you've continued that as well throughout the years?
Yeah. So right, a lot of Barnett's, and also, by the way, I think the race mechanicking. I'm a big fan of the race mechanicking, and again, thinking about this when I started my racing, it was called the ABLA, American Bicycle League, and then they morphed into the USCF. But early mechanicking, I had to do what's called safety checks, and they would line up all the riders, and I had to look at their bikes and squeeze brakes and bounce it around and twist handlebars and try and roll tubular tires. Did I save anybody's life? No, probably not. They stopped it. It was a pain in the neck. Nobody cared. But I got to touch a lot of bikes. And as a mechanic, that is a really good thing when you're in a race situation or neutral support or event, right? Charity rides, MS rides, those type of things. You don't get to take every bottom bracket out, but you get to feel a lot of stuff and touch a lot of stuff. And that adds to your database. That adds to your knowledge. So all that kind of work, I think is real important. So learning all those types of things, and then being able to teach, and then bring that to YouTube. That's kind of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's there's no easy way to say it, but like I think Park Tool has done a better job of the maintenance side of guides on YouTube than anyone else has. I certainly know in the past, and cycling. When Cycling Tips was doing video work, we had plans for maintenance, and I was just like, "What's the point? Park Tool already does it better. We're not gonna outdo that." Yeah. So yeah.
We're trying not to compete, and we're trying to sell our tools. Again, we're going to cut a cable with a CN10. We're going to shorten that chain with either the CT15, available from retailers near you. We're trying not to be too much of a commercial, but we're using our tools wherever appropriate.
Of course.
We're trying to raise the ocean, right? Is that a big statement? We're trying to lift all the boats.
Yeah. And I think you have achieved that in many ways. I think certainly a lot of home mechanics use the resource that you created, but no doubt professionals consult.
We get a lot of good feedback from the professionals because it helps them. And if a person's riding their bike and wearing out stuff, and it's good for all of us.
Yeah.
Being frustrated. And on the other hand, it's also, I mean, every story that comes to Park Tool, that every person that sits in front of their cell phone or their laptop, right? Not every one of them is a happy ending. Right? You have the right to repair, which is a big deal now. Everyone's arguing about right to repair. You also have the right to fail. That's part of the same ticket. And you get in that, and you tried to press it, it didn't go well. You push something the wrong way. You did something went wrong. Well, that's part of it too. That's a learning. Failure is a learning process as well.
Yeah.
So that's important. So
I want to talk to you a bit about so you mentioned you worked with Barnett's. You're pretty instrumental
Yeah.
in what that became. I think that was throughout
Mhm.
the 90s.
Yeah.
What about today? Like, how do you see things in bicycle education comparing today
Boy,
to
that's
back then?
what is how do you describe the world now? Big
Yeah.
topic we won't start on, but where does education belong? So when I do these scripts and things, I know everybody, I get a lot of last 2 days, a lot of nice notes from people, and I appreciate this, and you've helped me so much, and okay, that's nice. What I don't think about those people, to be honest. I mean, they're along for the ride, but when I do a script, I'm sitting down and I'm thinking, what do I want a young person starting to know? And it could be, let's say, a young mechanic, not necessarily young in years, right?
Mm,
You're a 50-year-old, you're an accountant, and now you're going to go get a job in a bike shop. What does a
mm,
young mechanical person need to know? I want to write for that person. I want uh, these these videos to be helpful to people who work on other people's bikes, and that's a bit that's different. It's subtle. You can work on your own bike. You can make it good and it's happy and you're wonderful and it's all about you and I'm going to be a champion or I'm just going to lose weight. But you can come along for the ride. You're welcome to get on the bus. Not driving the bus. I want the bus to be for the people who I'm working on my friend's bike, my child's bike, or
mm,
my customer's bike. The bikes
mm,
that I'm assembling for people I don't know yet to have enough knowledge and enough confidence to apply that. So I always come like that's that bit of Barnett that is in my DNA that
mm,
comes with me. Absolutely, people, they're going to learn to turn the limit screw. They're going to learn, to align the stem and put the grips on. Great. I'm glad you're here. But what I'm thinking about when I write is that other type of person that needs more from this and goes deeper. That's guess what I'm
mm.
I'm trying to say, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So,
Okay.
but your question,
Yeah.
what's the future? That's really hard to know. You're going back in time. I was a young mechanic and left my job. I was going to try and go to Europe and work, find something to work and be a race mechanic and ended up in a shop buying a race stand, an old Chinelli, which was just good in its day. As long as every tube was an inch and an eighth diameter, it was great. So you can imagine how useless that is now. Uh, but this guy in London in Evans bike shop, very famous,
Mm,
he
yeah.
literally tried to talk me out of don't be a mechanic. Don't do
Mm.
this. The pay you'll get, because I was a young guy. He was trying to save me. Well, do young people listen to older people? No. So I
Very
well,
rarely.
no,
Yeah.
yep. So nope, I dove in. I'm going to do this, and yes, it was crappy pay. And is that going to change? That's hard to say. The
Yeah.
industry does need better pay. It's not going to be a case, I'm afraid, that every mechanic is going to get the best pay. Well, they should, yes, but
Mm,
um, to raise a family and to afford a mortgage and to do all that in a shop of 8, I mean, there could be one service manager, the owner, and maybe a sales manager, right, out of 8 or 9. And this is, some cold hard facts. I hope on this show I don't want to get in trouble and have people, I guess I'll be gone. Maybe I'll still be around by the time this is out, but
no,
they,
no, you'll still
that
be around. Yeah.
yeah. The truth is there is going to be a lot of turnover in bike industry, in
Yeah.
mechanicking especially. So there
Yeah.
was a movement in America, the professional bike, the PBMA, Professional Bike Mechanics Association. Interesting
Mhm.
movement. Some people considered it a union. Well, it sounds good if there's a pile of money, right? It's the owner is not keeping you down, right? The man is often mortgaging his house to keep his store open.
Yes.
So, and the mechanics can sometimes be making more than the owner. So it's not, what do? We can be more efficient. You can charge more, certainly. Uh, and you can thin the herd, sometimes, in a Darwinian sense, there may be too many, but part of the debate, and I was in on a lot of those meetings and, talking to a lot of people, and it's an existential debate. Is being a bike mechanic a profession or is it a job? And, are you going to get certified? Well, what is certified? That's that's a can of worms. I don't know. You could, the Dave Rome can of worms show that gets deep into that, but America doesn't have that. Barnett,
nor does Australia.
Right. Okay, so the United Bicycle Institute's still going, and then SRAM has got a school, but you can say you are SRAM certified, and you can be UBI certified, but nobody recognizes. I mean, Trek's got a school, but it's definitely a bit more like the car. Like you can be a Ford mechanic or a Chevy mechanic. Yes, they'll train you, but there is no broad industry standard that says you are recognized across the industry as a bike mechanic. Closer to that, Europe, you are seeing some of that, but it definitely is more government involvement in apprentices, in apprenticeships, which are interesting, and training with the government funding. School kids get out of what they call high school, which is a bit longer than America, to go to a career. There's training, and some of that sometimes is revolved around interior design, landscaping, or being mechanics of different types. But in terms of America, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So
it's a shame.
America, we're the Wild West for sure. That way, it's the free market, and it's positive and it's negatives. And anybody in America can go out and say, I'm a professional. I can start a bike shop. I can rent a corner space. I can buy bikes. I can put them out there and put a price tag on them. And anybody can do that. Are you going to succeed? That's a different story. Anyway,
it's definitely like what you describe is strikes me as very much like a chicken and egg situation where is it the education that we need in order to justify the better pay, or does an industry that supports better pay drive better education? It's either way, it's both seem to be lacking, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't disagree. And the industry has been supportive to some extent. I'm on the board member of the Project Bike Tech, which is it's a program for schools to use bicycle skills and to teach mechanical skills to kids for careers. Now, does that mean they're going to turn them into bike mechanics? No, a success story could be kid learns, these are tools, I'm good at this, I know what a checklist is, I know what the metric system is. In America, that's a big deal. And I know how to use tools. And, I could be a car mechanic. I could do that HVAC. Machining is kind of cool. I saw all these little parts and hopefully you're launching kids using hands-on. We're into this, career training now in America. College is not the answer for everybody, and there's good jobs available. Now back to bike mechanicking. You look at it, a kid, 17, a young woman, she's 18 years old now, and she's looking at, I'm good with my hands, I'm mechanical, I know the concepts, I got all that going on. And there's this person saying, yep, we got welding here. You can come be this welder, pipe fitter, you can do this. And you're going to start at what? $40 an hour? Sure. And then, or come to my bike shop. You know what? It's $17 an hour, but I'll give you a discount on bikes. So what is she going to do? And the industry does, and I was guilty of this too. I did this. It's cool in a bike shop. It is cool. And those discounts, it's, I was the dumb male following, whoa, I'll just take my paycheck and hand it. Why don't I just hand it back to you, boss? Give me that bike. And that
guilty as well.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want shops to, you want to use that passion in a positive sense, but we don't want to exploit these kids and use that to keep them down on the farm, down on the bike farm.
Yeah, for
So
sure. Or just like push them out the door, right? As so often the case in bicycles, as
yeah,
you mentioned the
yeah, but
turnover, it's just so
well,
common.
okay, back to education, like you were saying, I'm not sure the paradigm. Okay, the paradigm for sure is in YouTube. You can get supplemental stuff from YouTube, but we're talking about a
Mm,
professional mechanic here. That's definitely
yeah.
part of everyone's life, right? Whatever, cutting onions. I don't care what what you're learning. The hands-on stuff is going to be real important. But I
Mm,
think the industry does have to accept and be ready for turnover. I'm a big fan of mentoring. I wish we could. I'll have to think about that in my next chapter here. How can you systematize mentoring? So, in
mm,
other words, you get one or two people in. Again, they can be a young person or a retired person. Don't forget us retired people that need a second career. Right? This 3M is up here. Big famous company, lots of the retired engineers all over the place. You bump into them on the bike trail, right? Guy's a flat tire. It's a 50-50 chance they're a 3M retired 3M engineer because they're riding their
mm,
bike. Hire these people, right? Part
mm.
time. That's great. So, but mentor some people, but keep that process. If you keep them 2 or 3 years, that might be doing pretty good, and then they rotate into something else or move on. But you're keeping that chamber full of people. But to send someone away to a school and have them pound it down their throat, boom, 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 and expect them to go be something. They're not a robot.
Yeah.
And at Barnett's, we saw this. Bright people would come. If you have experience and then you come to us, you did a lot better because you had scaffolding to hang it on, right?
Yeah, sure.
We gave you some meat, and there you had the hook to put the meat on. Whereas if I could tell you all the correct information about torque, this is thread, this is preload, and this is
Mm.
the thread pitch, blah blah blah, and you're writing it down and you're remembering the words, but you have never touched a thread in your life.
Yeah, you have no
It's
idea how
it's
to
not
apply it. Yeah.
it's sinking, right? That knowledge, and
Yeah.
then I love the people you would tell them something, and then you'd see they'd click in their head. Oh, that's why I ruined that. Ah, okay, I got it.
Uh,
Those are the people that were fun to reach. And on
yeah.
YouTube, I know I have, but I can't see you. I can't.
Mm, yeah.
All the people out there, I don't know what's clicked.
Sure. Yeah, okay. All right, Calvin. I mean, it's a whole different can of worms that. So I'm gonna move us on because we could talk about that
Yep.
all day. I guess I wanna talk to you about you've been around the block many times in the bike industry. When was your first shop job?
Bike shop in
Yeah.
Littleton, Colorado, a Schwinn shop,
Okay.
Denver Schwinn, even though it was south of Denver. It was a Schwinn shop of many
Mm,
people in my generation. Yeah.
okay.
A Schwinn dealer, and you assemble bikes, and you're just happy to be there, and scared to death to ask for a raise, and then I get,
Yeah.
oh, I'm good at this. I think I'm all that and a bag of chips. And I get another job at it's called American Cyclery, and it's another Schwinn shop, and the owner
Mm,
was a really big deal. An older German man rode a fixed gear around Denver City Park.
oh
Very
wow.
gentle, soft-spoken man, but rode like a beast on a chrome Ideor. Yeah, nice, nice chrome, fixie.
Mm.
Not a hipster. His son-in-law was the service manager and there was a separate building, which was interesting, right? So, and that's
Yeah.
where I developed that. This isn't a positive thing, but you see this in shops. You get this mentality. Those service guys, they're always
Yeah.
out to get us and make us work. They don't understand what this is about. And the service. So then I worked in in the sales department the next
Mm.
year, and I got to hear the other. God, those service guys are unruly. What a bunch of idiots. God, they're jerks.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely some of that tribalism that you pull
I
together
think it's
with your tribe. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's become very common in automotive worlds, which it's commonplace
Yes.
these days to have
Yes.
service and sales
Yes.
separate in the businesses.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
Yep. You can't even ask them to put a generator set on without them complaining.
Yeah.
Don't we
Exactly.
know that we're giving them jobs? So,
Yeah.
yeah.
100%.
Carry on.
What we're talking 72 till 26. I mean, that's it's quite a number of
Yeah,
years, but
right, yeah, and then
the bicycle
college,
has changed.
yeah, no, has it? Two wheels? I
Two
mean,
wheels.
it,
Still has
I'm
pedals.
actually I was trying to, yeah, think about this, look at your past, I guess you started doing that, but,
Mm.
I can do codded cranks, you wanna
Yep.
come over for some, I know what they are.
Mm.
I know the sizes, I know which way to put them in, and do I need that? Well, no, but that's good mechanical knowledge.
Yeah.
That's just more stuff that you've dealt with, and it's still good to have. Yeah, the frame materials change. Right, the first steel bikes, it's fun to see the transition. Um,
Mm.
there's a quick side note. There's a team reunion that I'm part of. The SRC, the Levi's Raleigh crew gets together. They've done it once. They're going to do it again this summer. Anyway, it's fun to see the old guys, but to look at their pictures and to see the transition from toe clips, right?
Mm.
So the toe clips started to go away, and then here comes Bernardino to the Coors Classic. What's this? He doesn't have toe clips. What's going on here? Oh, that's so cool. And then, of course, seeing Sean Kelly holding that, he was flying the toe clip flag to the bitter end. He was gonna go, go, go. But then,
Yeah.
okay, to see what mechanics call the golden arches. The golden arches is that non-aero brake routing where the two loops come up, all right? And then here are some riders with this, an aero lever. Oh, that's so cool, aero levers. And then, down tube shifters, and then STI, and then, of course, carbon fiber. And then people will try at first to take the material and just copy the old paradigm. And often you don't want the first one. You want the second generation,
For
right?
sure. Yeah.
Teledyne Titan in the 70s did a nice titanium bike. It was early, beautiful titanium bike, right? Teledyne, it's a defense contractor. They should be just hugely smart. They necked down the down tube and put a clamp-on shifter on it. They created their own stress riser. Yeah,
wow.
And they started to fail there. So for a clamp-on down tube shifter, they trashed their line. Hello? But it's easy to see, right? Look back in the rearview mirror, but the carbon fiber rims at first, yeah, sure, they're light, but tubular tires hate be glued to carbon. It's plastic. It's hard to glue to plastic. And there were more failures, and you're going to heat up those rims with your brake, your rim brakes. So the disc brake was hugely important for a carbon rim. Really good move. Disc brakes, wonderful move. But mechanics will complain about anything. You should
Absolutely.
do you should do a panel, right? You should get a can of worms and get 3 or 4 people to have them go at each other. So
just rant for an hour. Yeah.
Right. Well, right. And then, then save the big finale is internal routing.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah.
Which is nothing new. It's just been more internalized in recent years. But
it's not.
I mean,
it's
yeah.
The Olympic bikes, the team time trial bikes we have. The team time trial, by the way, greatest event ever in the world, greatest. We had internal routing, and it was so crude. We would replay after every once a week at least for training. Replace the cables, which was pulling out bottom brackets, but cup and cone bottom brackets, cranks.
Oh, wow.
I mean, just to put cables in, right? That it was horrible. But do they care about the mechanics? No. So you just suck it up and do it. But internal routing has been around, but that's why you want wireless.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, with that, you've obviously seen a lot of bikes. You've got experience across a very broad spectrum of bike technology over the years. Do you have a favorite generation or a favorite generation of bike that Sorry, a favorite type of bike that you probably most like to work on these days? I know Park Tool have like a
race.
museum, so
Yeah. I don't.
okay.
Uh, I like I like a good race. I like a good race, and I like a
Mm,
big charity ride because you get a good variety. You go to but what do I really enjoy and what's eye candy is definitely the older bikes. I definitely enjoy that. But working on them, yeah, it's fun. But you know, working on getting your cell phone out, it's which is kind of stupid. Some channels ask, "What are your top 5 tools that a mechanic has to have?"
mm,
Well, sadly, a cell phone is one of them.
mm,
But that SRAM app to adjust the indexing on a phone, that's pretty cool. I really like that. You can see you get the symptoms from the rider. That's number one, right? That's number one, the symptoms. Then you look at where they are in the adjustments. Oh yeah, that adds up. There, you let me beep, beep, beep. I've just moved it over, right? So it's the same thing as turning a barrel adjuster.
mm.
But that's fun. That new stuff is fun. But also seeing a cotter pin come in, and we had I knew a person that just got his cotter cranks, and they put the pins in and put the nuts on. Oh, this is great! I've got this new. Did you push the pins in? No. Well, I tightened the nuts. Well, that's not how it works. You have to ram those pins in as
Yeah.
tight as you can, and then the nut holds them in, but the nut does not pull them in. So
Mm,
that's fun. So the cell
mm.
phone's fun, the cotter pins are fun. So it's adding
So
to
you
your
love it all.
database. Yep. If you work on the same thing all the time, you're not expanding your database. You got to expand your mind.
Yeah,
So
I think, and that aligns to why like a lot of people in the industry say like a shop mechanic, like a career shop mechanic, is typically a much better mechanic than someone that's just worked for a single race team.
oh
Because
geez,
the guy,
yeah,
yeah, that's a can of
yeah,
worms. But
yeah, it
person on the
is.
race
No,
team sees one bike.
it's a good
Yeah,
can. They'll admit it. They'll
yeah,
admit it, and
yeah.
they don't try and go beyond themselves. So we
Mm,
sponsor like the Visma Lisa bike, and
mhm.
good mechanics. Now,
Yeah,
this last summer we had a reunion, a small group of us, some of the 7-Eleven guys, a couple of Levi's guys, and the funniest mechanic in the world, George Noyes. If I don't know how you could get him on here, but he's every mechanic's hero. Anyway, imagine 6 mechanics in Brussels. I mean, we were just it was just so much fun talking, walking around, talking about bikes. They're new bikes and old bikes. They're all fun, but the vintage stuff, we definitely were better mechanics in fixing stuff, right? Because we
yeah.
had to. So here's the joke: how does Lisa how does Visma true a wheel? You know how they true a wheel? What's their
They
procedure?
replace it.
Yeah, they're right. They don't exactly. They
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
What would you do that for? But what they can do, they have their own phone app, right? To run the team, their logistical skills.
Mhm.
We would be sweeping the floors and getting yelled at if we worked
Mm,
for Visma now. I mean, they really to control the amount of inventory that they have and get it to the races right and get it with the right equipment and the time trial bikes, all of that stuff on the buses. That's they know what they're doing and they do it really well, and that's their job, right?
mm.
But you ask them about Shimano stuff, nope, don't do it. Don't
Yeah,
don't know nothing. Go talk to Quick Step. They're
yeah,
running Shimano,
yeah,
so right,
yeah.
and good for them. You need to do the job you're given at the time well, and
Mm,
chapeau to all the modern mechanics, for
mm.
keeping it going.
Specialization. Yeah. I mean, on that, like you mentioned the vintage bikes versus the newer bikes. Is there something that you wish would make a comeback in bicycles, or on the mechanical side of bicycles?
Good,
Is there a tech you
boy, good.
miss?
Well, yeah, I'm getting ready to get mad once they get rid of it. Adjustable hubs, the adjustable bearing has
Uh-huh.
gotten a
Yeah.
bad rap, and it's
Uh,
it's it's funny because let's go with the BSA bottom bracket, right? Which is
mhm.
uh, really fine pitch, right? 137 by 24. And why is it fine pitch? Because to do a bearing adjustment, you want that fine pitch, right? Imagine what that is. It's almost a millimeter pitch, right? So 1/16th of a turn, you're turning that thing a teeny weeny bit, right? And if you're really good mechanic, you'll do 1/32 of a turn. Okay. So when was the last time somebody adjusted a bottom bracket? Well, Walmart and their ilk, they're doing adjustable bottom brackets, and they can be
Oh, wow.
adjusted. It's the same concept, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is now it's cartridge bearing, and people assume, oh, it's better. But they still kept that fine thread, and when they did this T27 bottom bracket, T47 rather, the T47,
yeah.
Why did they stick with 1 millimeter pitch? No one is adjusting it. Go a coarse thread because it won't cross thread it easy. It won't strip out. The tolerances can be better. I mean, come on. But anyway, the hubs, Shimano's moving away. A nicely adjusted ball bearing hub is great. And it takes loads, all sorts of side loads that the cartridges don't. Cartridges are cheap to produce. That's why there's so many of them. They're just easy to knock off. You have a lathe, you bore a hole, you slam a bearing in it, you say, here's your hub. But it takes some effort and some skill to build a good cup and cone bearing like the Shimano. But it takes skill, it takes the mechanic as well to finish the package, to adjust it properly. And that, I'm afraid, that we've let the bike world down there, like sisters and brothers of the bench.
Yeah, I think Campagnolo and Shimano are still holding the candle a little bit, but I'd say Shimano, they're outside, they're moving away from it. So market pressures.
I'm afraid. That's true. And are there people able to service it? Did you see that release? It was the Shimano Europe put out that advertisement stating it was a survey. They were doing a survey.
No, I didn't see this.
Not a year ago, but it was really interesting. You should dig it up. They wanted people to take the survey. Are there enough trained mechanics, and what sources would there be? This was after the crank recall. To pick up Shimano's banner a bit. They felt that the shops weren't doing a good job in having good experienced people do their inspections. They felt that was a need to have better mechanics. If I'm putting words in Shimano's mouth, they can contact you. But they wanted more competent people. A lot of shops simply said, nope, warranty, don't want to deal with it, don't want to look at it. So Shimano felt, we're getting a lot of cranks that are actually okay. You didn't do your due diligence. But then, to pick up the shop's banner, this ain't my job.
Yeah.
This is your crank. This ain't my job. I got to take care of these other things. Right. That's right. So that's a double-edged sword there. But we're back to that other can of worms. Where do you get good people? How do you keep good people? And then how do you train them? So we want all this fancy stuff.
I mean, we're digging into
to keep it running and to just give it set up.
Yeah, we're sort of stepping on loose soil here, about to fall down a deep rabbit hole. But I mean, your mention there of your mention there of like cup and cone hubs, and then like a lack of experience in the industry maybe being why we don't see them as much. I mean, do you think that that's a big reason why we're seeing more and more products that are not really serviceable, that are probably more disposable than serviceable? Is that driving that? What do you think's driving that?
Yeah. Okay. I'm a tangent. It's related. I'm in a bubble, and Dave, you're probably in a bubble too. We're in this little bike world bubble.
I'm happy in my bubble.
Let's go to the car industry. Look at the disposable lights. The last time I got to work on my Honda, I kept thinking, you know what? It's a good thing I used to build plastic models as a kid. I got more out of that than working on my dad's 56 Ford F100. My Honda is more akin to the plastic Revel model that I used to put together. It snaps together, little buttons. It's all plastic. So yeah, I guess it's the world, isn't it? Printers, disposable. I mean, what can be fixed nowadays? A large part of the bike can be fixed, but yes, definitely. You know, you're going to start a hub company. Is service the most important? Will be this. Who's the new derailleur company? Madrone.
Madrone.
That
what's it?
The new. They're all serviceable. It's a fancy new derailleur.
There's a few. There's Madrone out of the US, and then there's Ratio out of the UK.
Yeah. But they're trying to make them all serviceable, right?
Yep.
Right. So rather than just replace the whole thing, but then you're a big company and say, yeah, go ahead and spend $80 on that pulley assemble. You can buy all our new and complete for $100. A really interesting for all. Okay, geek. You want to geek out to geek alert. Disraeli Gears is a website. If you Google that, Disraeli Gears, derailleurs. It's this huge database of derailleurs from the beginning of time and the stories of people around them that is so interesting. Like low normal, right? It's in the 30s, people. It's incredible. The cable systems and the weird little, like Oscar Egg and his system. And it's great. There was a guy called Oscar Egg. How great is that? But anyway, that old knowledge can be interesting. But Madrone is in there. That's the new stuff, and it all comes out of this. What's serviceable? What should be replaced, and then what do you want to pay for it? So anyway,
Well, I don't mean to be too cheeky here or put you in too uncomfortable of a spot, but Park Tool has discontinued quite a few tools over the years. I mean, it's a forever changing catalog. What's the tool you miss most? What do you wish would come back to production, even if it doesn't make sense to do so?
Now that I'm retiring, the cotter pin press.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you might say that.
The cotter pin. Yeah, you are putting me on the spot. I should have my catalog here. Gosh, what were some good ones? The 107X clamp, that big vice type clamp that opens up huge. Jaws move parallel on it. It would pivot 90 degrees. That was really, really sweet. Boy, what else do we have? Bottom bracket tools we got covered. God, there's got to be more. Fractional cone wrenches we used to do. No, we don't want fractional cone wrenches anymore. Oh, frame repair stand's nice.
Oh yeah. What does that look like?
Big. You bolt it to the ground. It's about 3 feet high, big plate, and you bolt the frame to it, and then you can pull the frame around for frame bending. Let's call it frame alignment rather. That's kind of a fun one. Yeah, that would be a good one to have back. But no, I really like the line now. It's got a lot of good stuff. We've it's come really matured. It's interesting here working here. There's a lot of stuff we could do. We don't generally like to be the tip of the spear, right? We don't want to be, there's this new weird little thing out. Let's make a tool for it. And this boat is hard. We're not a speedboat. It takes time. We got to research it. We got to think about it. We've looked at some tools. By the time we were ready to act, they're gone. The product is gone. Like Shimano XTR crank had that interesting removal system, had a left-hand thread that you would thread in. It was clever, right? We were, should we do this? Yeah, it's Shimano. We got to do it. By the time we were ready to get going on it, gone.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's, I guess, just a couple there.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've heard you mention your beloved kickstand tool before as well.
The kickstand tool, because it's a hard one to fake. Yep. The KS one. Yeah, with the history, being on the inside, it's it's different than being on the outside. We had it for a long time and we dropped it. The reason we dropped tools is simply sales, right? The antelope can't keep with the herd and it falls back and back. Well, You got to cut it. It just can't support itself. And then we had these distributors. Oh, we're bringing these bikes back. Yeah, these bikes are going to be great. They're going to have that Sprag kickstand. You got it. Okay, we'll bring it back. We'll bring it back. Nope, swing and a miss. Nobody, we don't want to cut tools. We want people to buy them and to keep making them. But you make a production run this year, and in 5 years, you look back and say, we're on the same production run. That tool is probably not long for this world, but bottom bracket tools are crazy. There's another example. All sorts of goofy sizes, and some of them are within just a millimeter of somebody else. Can't
nonsensical.
we talk to each other some here? Anyway.
I mean, there's every shop around the world now has a dedicated drawer just for bottom bracket sockets. So it's or half a wall dedicated to it. So it's
We didn't ask for it, and and you're making a lot of money on that. Well, we're investing. We had to buy a new Haas lathe, and but maybe we'd have more sales if there were just 6 of them instead of 16. And wait till the e-bike stuff hits.
Oh yeah.
You want different lock rings? They're coming. So
that's a whole new mess. I mean, I've been watching that. I mean, we saw it, I'd say, with Bosch first. Like every generation got a new tool for the lock ring, and then but now
they settled down
hitting the market.
That's right.
So it's a hot mess. Anyway, I'm gonna start wrapping us up, but with that, I mean, you've been teaching people how to fix bikes for what, 4 decades now?
Yes, it feels like
it's a long time. But I mean, over those years, is there a tip that comes to mind that you love to share with people that are like just looking to get started into doing sort of home bicycle repair, or just looking to get started into repair in general?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, okay, Phil, high level, think of everything as a bike. You're working on plumbing. That is a hydraulic brake. You've got compression rings, compression fittings. It has to be sealed. You're putting on a door. That's fixturing. You're dealing with tool fitment everywhere. So, everything is a bike. That airplane, that car, it's think of it in bicycle terms. Things that attached, are they working properly? What pivots where? So that's just your mentality. That's I'd like to encourage in people. And then jump in. If you want to go if you're going to get in deep, maybe get a trashy bike first. Go out and get something, and go ahead and tear it apart before you start on your beloved child. Your Cervelo / Santa Cruz / whatever. Like that. But I don't know. When you're older, it's a bit different. I'm hoping to work with kids more, and what I really want to see is younger kids. Even when I start mentoring kids, like with the team that I'm on, they need to use art more. They need to play with materials more. I should be able to hand a person a chunk of, close your eyes. Here's a chunk of material. Is it steel? Is it aluminum? Is it plastic? You shouldn't hesitate. That person shouldn't hesitate to answer. And if you play with stuff early, you're going to learn those skills, those first principles that are important to every mechanic. Cars or fixing your refrigerator, to know those things. But cynical me would say clockwise or counterclockwise. Sadly, that doesn't work anymore, Dave. You know why? The kids have got cell phones. That's not a joke. So now I'm doing the car turns right. You're turning the car right. Now turn the car left. So, and now wait till there's self-driving cars, and I'll lose that one. So
lefty loosey, righty tighty is the other one, but it fails when people want to undo a bottom bracket.
People say that, but I'm telling you, with the kids, Yep. It works except when it doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, okay. I mean, it sounds like you're talking about educating kids there, and that bicycles can be like this
Yeah,
foundational skill for everything in life. I mean,
yeah, that's right.
it's certainly something I
That's what
agree
I'm
with.
hoping.
But yeah, is
Mhm.
that something you're hoping to get more into with spreading that
Sure.
throughout?
No, it
Yeah.
is. I do it locally now. There's America's got this high school race program. Quite a few states have it, and Minnesota's really deep into it. And my local program, that the community I'm in, um, I've got these kids that I'm mentoring to be mechanics, right? And are they going to overhaul forks? And it's not necessarily. They can fix a flat tire. Their main skill that I want them to nail is to point out, you've got a problem that maybe I can't fix it, but I can tell you that's a problem, right? So they'll go on rides with coaches. And the idea is each coach in our group, we got 100 kids on the team. So we split up into groups and each coach gets a mechanic. And then, you better see somebody at a shop. I mean, that's great. Even if you can get that level of experience, or see us back at the shed where we are and we'll try and fix it, right? Or, that type of thing. And I don't know, the parents, the old days, kids they should be fixing their own stuff. All these kids should be fixing their own bikes at that age. Well, this ain't your grandpa's mountain bike.
Mm.
This is your full suspension. It's got tubeless tires. I don't know, does a 12-year-old need tubeless tires? Probably not. But it's sophisticated stuff. So I'm trying to mentor the small group to be a helper. You're there to help other people, and it may sacrifice your racing. And if you volunteer with me, you got to understand that you're not going to get the ace workout the top group gets because you're helping other people. Well, that's the nature of the mechanic, is to be a service to others. So trying to instill that into them takes a bit of maturity, for them to understand that that's what I'm here for, right? So to hold things together and to keep things moving. So, and then nationally, there's that Project Bike Tech as well, trying to work with them, and find excuses to ride my bike, and excuses to get off my bike. I see somebody with a flat tire or a problem, I'm going to stop, because maybe I can learn something. Yeah, and they can teach me something, so that, why did you get this flat? What's going on here? So, yeah. Anyway,
very cool.
Ride bikes.
Very cool.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Calvin. What sort of bike are we going to see you on if people see you out there? Is it a mountain bike? Is it gravel bike? Is it road?
Minnesota right now, we're in between good storms. The next storm, it's my Surly ice cream truck, and nice. It's steel. Yep, 4.5-inch tires. It's a beast. Spring's going to come, and the fat, you can't ride the trails because they're muddy. I'll be on a Tan Guy, which is it's a out of business frame builder from Boston that my old friend built. So every time I ride it, I get to think of my friend. So it's Reynolds 531. Summer comes and I'm mountain biking. I'm on a full suspension Esker. And parents will ask, anybody asks me what kind of bike I should get. For anybody, parent older, full suspension. You're not getting any younger. Get the full suspension. The kids, hardtail. You, full suspension. And and then building up a fixie. I'm converting one of my bikes down to a fixie and get back on a fixie. So right. We'll see.
All the bikes. Yeah. All right. Well, enjoy the well-earned retirement, and thank you for all the information over the years and all the knowledge.
Okay, everyone, just remember that Dave said lefty loosey, and what was the other one?
Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Until as you added,
not too much.
Not. Yeah.
Tighten it just enough.
All right, that's a wrap on my chat with Calvin Jones. Wishing him the very best for the next chapter. Thanks for all you've done, Calvin. Geek Warning will return next week. Until then, happy riding and happy wrenching. Thanks to Will Jones of Red Bricks Media for the editing and mixing of this episode.